can walk in front of it. I got them.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the retirement ceremony honoring the service of Senior Master Sergeant Michael L. Daggett. As a reminder, during the playing of our national anthem, military members should stand at attention, and our civilian guests, please stand and place your hand over your heart. We'll conclude with the Air Force song. We ask you to remain in place during the playing of the song as the official party departs. At this time, we also ask you to ensure all cellular phones and electronic devices are placed in silent mode or off. And we'll begin in just a moment. Thank you. This is the awkward silent part. We went through a bunch of that, it was just good. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Stephen Daggett, Master of Ceremony for today's program, and I'd like to personally welcome everyone to the retirement ceremony of Senior Master Sergeant Michael L. Daggett. We thank all of you for attending and honoring the distinguished career and service of Sergeant Daggett. Would everyone please rise? Military members stand at attention for the entrance of the official party. Remain standing for the playing of our national anthem and the invocation delivered by Chaplain Captain Smith. Today's official party includes Brigadier General Kip Clark, Assistant to the Adjutant General for Indiana Air National Guard, and Major Jeffrey Kip, and today's honorary Senior Master Sergeant Daggett. Lieutenant Gary, will you please, the national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Chaplain Smith.
Would you bow your heads with me? Almighty God, we come to you today and ask that your Spirit would dwell among us as we celebrate the long and honorable and respected career of Senior Master Sergeant Daggett. What a day this is when we can all look back at a distinguished career of service to this country, leading airmen and caring for their needs. God, we have a special place in our hearts for those who dedicate their lives to service, made even more special when it's performed in the military. We're grateful for the opportunities that you have afforded Senior Master Sergeant Daggett to serve at home and abroad. We thank you for the strength that you have provided him during missions and annual trainings. We thank you for his diligence and for his discipline and his leadership among peers and subordinates alike. Lord, we pray that Senior Master Sergeant Daggett would feel a tremendous amount of achievement on this day, that as he looks back on his years of service, you would remind him of the lives that he's impacted, the work he has accomplished, and the relationships he has built as a result. And may this all be a reminder of your blessings to him and what a blessing he has been to this Air Force. We're grateful to his family and the sacrifices that they have also made over the last 27 plus years in sharing him. Would they be confident that the Air Force is better off after having him in our ranks? Lord, this may be an ending to one part of Senior Master Sergeant Daggett's journey, but it's the start of another. Grant him great blessing as one chapter ends and the excitement of the next begins. And may we not fail to remember your role in it all, Lord. We pray all this in your great name. Amen.
All right, thank you, Chaplain. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. And before we begin the formal portion of the ceremony, Senior Master Sergeant Daggett, would you please come forward and introduce your family and friends?
Friends, all of you, thank you. Family, starting all the way at the very end. My brother on the stage, Steve, retired chief. My dad, retired senior chief out of the Navy. My mom, my beautiful daughter, Megan, beautiful wife, Janine. I wasn't sure which one was not coming.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law, Doris, Dylan, Wanda, and Paul, my aunt and uncle.
Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce Assistant to the Adjutant General for Air, Brigadier General Clark. Sir, would you please come forward for some opening remarks?
These retirements throughout the years, the year we'll do multiple retirements, and it's always a blessing to have friends and family come in for retirements. It's certainly bittersweet when you have an airman like Senior Master Sergeant Daggett and all the contributions he's made to our state. But it's more sweet than bitter, I know. I mean, especially when you look back on a career like yours. Especially when you have all your friends and family and fellow airmen and soldiers here to celebrate it with you. So, in the Air National Guard, as opposed to the active component, we are very engaged in our community, our state, and our nation. Not that the active component isn't engaged in those three things, but we live here for a long time. That consistency, that we're indigenous. And so community, state, and nation, I think, is very, he's an example of service to community, state, and nation. So community, and just being around Mike and listening to how he involves himself in this community, with his friends, with schools, he is engaged. He is aggressively engaged in the community. Community, though, is not just a geographic location. Community are those folks or those organizations that have similar interests. And in the Air National Guard community, that community, Senior Master Sergeant Daggett is totally invested. And it doesn't take long to figure that out. You speak to Mike Daggett, he speaks in a community and much larger than just a geographic location. He expands that community out nationally to other states, other leaders, senior leaders. Some of the highest levels of senior leaders in the Air National Guard understand that Mike Daggett is engaged in his community. State, Mike served many years, and this is the end of those years, as his contribution to our state's recruiting efforts. Both wings, ideas that span throughout our joint community, completely engaged community and our state. And I mentioned nation. Certainly he wears our nation's cloth. So we know he's invested in our nation. It is father, look at his brother, look at his family, look at his friends. He personifies what it means to serve to our nation's defense. So when I think of Mike Daggett, I think how he epitomizes what the Guard epitomizes. Contribution. Tireless contribution to our community, our state, and our nation. Before I leave the stage or go sit down, I'm not leaving the stage. You gotta get me off. So before I go sit down, I sometimes try to think of words that also personifies an individual in a situation like retirement. And for Mike, I have two. The first one is visionary. And sometimes you hear his vision, it's like, oh boy, I don't know. That's pretty highfalutin. I don't know if we can get there. But you know what? Sometimes you'll see visionaries and they're good at getting the vision, but they're not all that good with the follow through. Mike, and just last year was a prime example. The hundreds of thousands of dollars that he got for our recruiting efforts in the state was extraordinary. I don't know if we've ever had that amount of money towards our recruiting efforts. And he pulled it off. And again, it was a visionary thing where I'm going to do this, and okay. And he did. And that brings me to the second word, unconventional. He has the courage to bring those ideas forward that are unconventional, that you did. They're not only visionary, the path he takes is unconventional. I wouldn't have thought of that path or that route. And those two words are the words that come to mind when I think of Mike Daggett. And I think all of you know some of his personal interests and initiatives, you could say, are visionary and unconventional. So even though he's hanging up the uniform, those attributes are not going to leave him. So, Mike, it's been extraordinary to serve with you, and thank you.
Thank you, General. I'd like to introduce now our presiding officer for today's ceremony, Major Jeffrey Kipp. Sir, please.
Thank you, General. Appreciate that. I love you personally. It works for me. So, thank you, everybody, for being here. Senior leaders, family, co-workers. I was coming to this retirement for 26 years. When it was taking place, I was going to be here. And I was going to be here. General did a great job explaining what a military member Mike is. I've had the pleasure of working as a military member with him, but also as a friend and co-worker. So from day one, from the very first day I met Mike, which was over 26 years ago, it was just clicked. I mean, his personality, his innovation, his work with everybody was just wow. So my perspective, discussing Senior Master Sergeant Daggett with you today will be from my perspective of Michael. I'm going to ask the question, why are we here? We're all here to wish Mike and his family best of luck, thank them for their service, and help them move on to transition into the civilian part of their life. And there's one thing about Mike that we all have in common. We're all here because he's done something to help or touch each one of us. So when you think through what's your personal relationship with Mike? And I'd like to talk about mine a little bit. So anytime anybody had a question, reference, so I'll go all the way back. 1996, I'm at Keesler Air Force, or excuse me, 1993, I'm at Keesler Air Force Base, and I'm an airman basic walking around on a tech school. And we're in Mississippi, I'm from Maine, been a long time since I've seen anybody I know, and been there 2 months, and this guy just comes walking to me. Hey, my name's Mike, you're here. He was at Keesler for a year. He'd been there about 10 months, he heard there was a new airman on base as part of his organization, and he reached out to find me. In that, he made that initial relationship connection that made you feel like, wow, special. Does anybody in here ever had a conversation with Mike where you don't feel like you're the center of his world when he's talking to you? It just brings you in, like he's connected right then and there. And I try to think of a word that can tie from the civil side of life to the professional side of life that I use when I'm describing Mike. If someone doesn't know him, you start coming up with adjectives and talk through it. And I go to the word wingman.
because wingman's always worked for me, because for the majority of my life I've worn a uniform, and so has he. So a little bit of preparation for this, not a whole bunch. I just wanted to talk about what I know about Mike. I wanted to find out what the word wingman is. So you read through wingman, aviators, we're in the Air Force, that's great. It's the person that's always there with you to make sure you're safe. And I'm going to read a couple things. You know, it's a common core in the Air Force, and a wingman is a pilot who supports another. Did anybody in here not been supported by Mike in one fashion or another? Everybody's here supported by Mike. A wingman leads by example. They take action when needed. A wingman's duty is to care, safeguard, and surveil for one another. I believe we're all sitting here today and we all made the efforts because Mike has made that connection with each one of us. I'm not saying I was a little angry when the alarm went off at 3 a.m. this morning to catch a plane to be here. It was up, shave, go, you're not going to miss this. Do you have your uniform? But I wouldn't have missed it for anything. If I could be standing there and I had 3 pieces of my uniform or no uniform, I would still be standing here with the honor of this, of Mike being my wingman, me being his, along with many others, but he's always been there for me. My personal story is, we were both full-time, and I had worked, and I was always working for, you know, how do I improve myself and bring more to the organization. So I worked myself in an associate's degree, worked myself in a bachelor's degree, and I said, okay, next is going to be a commissioning opportunity for me. And I was over the age of 35. I was in the state of New Hampshire, International Guard. At the time, Mike was a recruiter. And so I went to the state, and they said, that's great, your package looked great, you'd be good for this job, but you're too old. Although it is waiverable, the state of New Hampshire does not waiver. So all my efforts moving forward fizzled out. 9/11 took place, International Guard changed a little bit, everybody was bringing all the people that they could, and I get this phone call, just this one phone call. It was like, hey Jeff, the state now supports the waivers. So the one phone call, him thinking about me, changed my life direction completely of what I can do, what I took care of my family, what I brought to the organization, and things that I didn't take to the entire United States as far as my position and what I'm going to bring. So Michael, thank you. Mike was always the technology guy. He was always the visionary leading forward. 1997, internet was in its infancy, and we were an organization, there were 25 or 30 of us that we were being presidentially activated to go to Hungary for 4 months. These days that doesn't sound like a big deal, but in the mid-90s, to be activated in the Air National Guard and be told to go somewhere, so people were a little bit nervous. So how do you connect with back home? There were email, like I said, email was in infancy, and if one person had it, didn't mean everybody had it. So how are we going to connect with people? So one of us, not me, said, hey, there's this Kodak, what I wrote, the digital camera system, the Kodak DCS, that Mike spent 4 months ensuring that everybody on the team, everybody there, he was taking personal pictures of them working, and he was uploading them through his own system and emailing pictures back to everybody's family. So again, today 4 months seems like, I can do 4 months. Back then, 15 days waiting home was a long time in the military. So Mike had this cutting-edge digital photography. I'm sure he'll get into it when he gets talking about this thing. So he took pictures of everybody, got them back to their families, and made those connections for everybody. If nothing else, took the pictures, had them printed so people could mail them back home. It's just little things like that that I will never forget about Mike always being cutting edge. So when the general said he's leading edge, and he's a visionary, I've always told him, I can't wait to work for him when he's running one of the Fortune 500 companies of the world, because I'm going to be right there. This is going to happen. So, I guess all I can say is, I'm forever grateful, forever faithful in you, and I will forever stay connected. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to take Senior Master Sergeant Michael Daggett and make him Senior Master Sergeant retired, Michael Lloyd Daggett. Thank you.
Senior Master Sergeant Daggett, would you please join Major Kip for formal presentations? Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand? Attention to orders. The Meritorious Service Medal. Senior Master Sergeant Michael L. Daggett distinguished himself in performance of outstanding service to the United States as the Recruiting and Retention Superintendent Indiana Air National Guard Headquarters from 1 April 2010 to 1 August 2019. Senior Master Sergeant Daggett expertly coordinated with National Guard Bureau and the Army Corps of Engineers to secure the funding and the most suitable location for new Indianapolis recruiting storefront, providing efficient accessibility to both wings. He masterfully executed the largest advertising budget across the largest demographic areas, generating leads and publicizing the Air National Guard throughout Indiana state colleges. His highly visible role is trusted to represent the Air National Guard at high-profile functions, notable appointed chapter president of the Folds of Honor. He generated $700,000 through various charitable events. He provides stabilizing influence within his recruiting team, displaying a high degree of honesty, loyalty, integrity, and personal responsibility. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant Daggett culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself, the Air National Guard, and the United States Air Force. The Indiana Distinguished Service Medal. Senior Master Sergeant Michael L. Daggett distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious service while serving as the Indiana Air National Guard Headquarters Recruiting and Retention Superintendent. Senior Master Sergeant Daggett was handpicked by National Guard Bureau to lead special projects within National Impact Initiative. His skilled capabilities led to the rewrite of Air Force Instruction 36-2002, titled Enlisted Ascensions, ordered by the Secretary of the Air Force. The new Air Force policy immediately implemented enlisted accessions that applied to the regular Air Force, the Air National Guard, and Air Force Reserve. He executed 100% of local advertising budget, generating thousands of leads, resulting in new Indiana Air National Guard enlistments. Senior Master Sergeant Daggett has demonstrated high standards of professional conduct, representing the Indiana Air National Guard with pride. Signed, Adjutant General, 19th June of 2019. Sir, at this time we're ready to publish the order.
Publish order.
From the Armed Forces of the United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Senior Master Sergeant Michael L. Daggett, having served faithfully and honorably, is retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of August 2019. Signed, Scott Rice, Lieutenant General, Director, Air National Guard, and David L. Goldfein, General, Air Force Chief of Staff. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. And Major Kemp will present the presidential certificates. Certificate of Appreciation reads, for service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America, Senior Master Sergeant Michael L. Daggett, I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of our grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of the military service. I trust that in the coming years you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment dedication and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, President Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief. Janine, would you please join us on the stage?
You were using them.
This is great. Air Force Certificate of Appreciation to a Spouse. Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Air Force. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents the certificate to Janine Daggett for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Given this first day of August of the year 2019, Scott Rice, Lieutenant General, Director of the Air National Guard, and David L. Goldfein, General Air Force Chief of Staff. All right, don't go anywhere. This is the Legion of Hoosier Hero and Legion of Hoosier Heroine certificate, which reads, Legion of Hoosier Hero and Legion of Hoosier Heroine, be it known by these present that Senior Master Sergeant Michael Daggett and Janine Daggett are hereby and forevermore distinguished by their appointment to the General Staff of the Legion of Hoosier Heroes and Heroines. Organizations designed to accept members of highest qualifications only. A member may be recognized by his heroic stature as a gentleman or by her heroic stature as a lady, and by their support of the principles of military science and fidelity to good government. All in accordance with the finest traditions of the great state of Indiana, in testimony whereof I have caused these letters to be made patent and the seal of the Hoosier Hero to be affixed. Done at Indianapolis, Indiana, the 15th day of April in the year of our Lord 2019. Signed, Courtney P. Carr, Major General, the Adjutant General of Indiana. And you may return to your seat. You can go that way or that way. The Distinguished Hoosier Award, State of Indiana, Office of Governor Eric J. Holcomb. To all whom these presents may come, greetings. Whereas some individuals distinguish themselves through significant contributions to their communities, and whereas the qualities and characteristics of such individuals reflect the best of the great state of Indiana, and whereas the actions of these individuals endear them in the hearts and minds of all Hoosiers, and whereas Indiana treasures individuals who give their time and talents out of an abiding sense of responsibility, commitment, and concern for others, and whereas Senior Master Sergeant Michael L. Daggett is such an individual who has earned the respect and admiration of Hoosiers across the state and is worthy to join the ranks of these honorees. Now therefore I, Eric J. Holcomb, Governor of the state of Indiana, do hereby declare and appoint Senior Master Sergeant Michael L. Daggett as a distinguished Hoosier. In testimony whereof I have unto set my hand and caused to be affixed the great seal of the state of Indiana at the Capitol in Indianapolis on the first day of August in the year 2019. Signed, Eric J. Holcomb, Governor of the state of Indiana. And we also have a letter of appreciation from the governor. It reads, Dear Senior Master Sergeant Daggett, on behalf of the state of Indiana and as a veteran myself, it is a privilege to extend my deep appreciation for your 27 years of dedicated service to the Indiana National Guard. I and all Hoosiers appreciate the price you and your family have paid to defend our country and the freedom for which it stands. There is no one to whom we owe more respect, regard, and thanks than people like you who give themselves to serve and protect American lives. Your patriotism reflects the very core and foundation of America. Please accept my sincere congratulations on your retirement. You have certainly been a tremendous asset to the Indiana National Guard. I wish you well in your future endeavors. Sincerely, Eric Holcomb, Governor of the State of Indiana. And with this letter is also a flag of Indiana. Along with a certificate that reads from the office of the governor that certifies that the enclosed flag of the state of Indiana was flown at the Indiana State Capitol building on June 1st, 2019. And there is also a presentation of a U.S. flag. The accompanying certificate says, this flag was flown by the Black Snakes aboard an A-10 aircraft during Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Inherent Resolve, and over the skies of Indiana. And we have additional presentations as well. General Clark, sir, will you please present the gift on behalf of the Indiana Air National Guard headquarters staff.
Standard one in each A-10 round, representing both of our wings, the Indiana Air National Guard. It's become kind of a stable gift, but it's certainly appropriate. Thank you.
And Master Sergeant Lewis, would you come forward, please, sir? And on behalf of the 122nd Fighter Rank.
All right, let me talk about this just for a second. So, you cannot invite a recruiter to the stage. You cannot put a recruiter on stage without hearing them talk for a few minutes. So, it's been my pleasure, Sergeant Daggett, to work with you over the last 10 years. When I was first hired into the state of Indiana as a production recruiter, we had never met each other. And I probably wasn't your first pick on that first hiring board, but you accepted me. Was there to help guide me and learn the job. And throughout the years, more than anything else, you've been a solid friend for me. That relationship is life-lasting. You will always be a good friend of mine. I cannot thank you enough for all the work that you've done for the team, for the state, for the nation. The one lesson that this guy has taught me more than anything else is the power of personal relationships. We've talked about the job before, and you told me, you got it, you got it. But the thing that I will always take away from our relationship is the way that you treat people, the way that anytime we go somewhere, whether it's within the community, like you talked about, sir, National Guard Bureau level, at a state or a nationwide conference, everyone knows Mike Daggett. Everyone wants to come up and shake his hand and give him a hug and say, how are you, Mike? So that's the one thing that I will always remember. As I was putting together your shadow box here, which, by the way, was made by Uncle Tom, shipped down from Maine. Beautiful piece. This thing is not big enough to sum up your career. It truly isn't. There's not enough gadgets and gadgets, everything else I could have put in there. But there's a couple special pieces. And the one thing I want to point out to the crowd that you may or may not realize is if you look at on his left breast pocket here, his recruiting badge, and it's solid gold. That right there is the mark of a national award-winning recruiter. So back when you were a recruiter for New Hampshire, what year was it? 2002. Back before he was in charge, his main job was to put people in the National Guard, and he did it so well, he was named the Production Recruiter of the Year in 2002 for the entire Air National Guard. And he gets to wear that till the day he retires. So the badge that I have in here, I'd like you to take this apart when you go home and replace that and put it in there. But this is for you, buddy. I'm going to do this.
ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct privilege to introduce to you my brother, Senior Master Sergeant Retired, Michael L. Daggett.
I have some remarks I prepared, and I'll get into those in a second. But before I do that, I'm an ad-lib guy, so that's why I prepared remarks to keep this short but general. So thank you so much. It's been an honor to serve with you. And there is not a greater Air National Guard than the state of Indiana, and you guys know that. Major, you're right. I mean, day one, right? For 27 years, we slept in tents together. We've done things that are classified together. So to have you here means an awful lot. And for what you guys don't know too is not only is he here, he was in Afghanistan 2 days ago and made it back for this. So I'll get a little bit more of that in a bit, but I truly want to thank you for being here. Chief Snyder in the back, thank you for putting all this together. Colonel Geary, sir, thank you. Colonel Brown, the entire Air Guard staff here, thank you guys. It's been my honor to serve with you. Again, the state of Indiana, when I applied for the job to come here, honestly, I lied during the interview. Sorry. But they asked me a question. They said, why do you want to come to Indiana? And at the time, the answer was because that's where the paycheck was going to come from and I was qualified for the job. And Colonel Holbrook at the time asked me, he's like, if I select you, are you coming here for good or are you just looking for your next stop? And I told him I was coming here to make this my home. That was the lie. So we got here and we rented a house because we were only staying for a year. We house hunted, I looked for a job in D.C. replacing a good friend of mine, Chief French, in the front row. He worked at National Guard Bureau, and my job, or my desire, was to take his position. We became really good friends, and so my intent was to come here for 1 year and get out and go up to NGB. I fell in love with the state of Indiana. I fell in love with the Indiana Air National Guard. I fell in love with the airmen who serve here. And a funny kind of story, and then I'll get into the real work, but a funny story real quick is that when I was getting ready to apply for the job, Janine was online looking at houses. And I was excited about the job, and she was excited at looking at houses, and I was excited about looking for the job, but neither one of us wanted to move, but we didn't have the heart to tell each other we loved it here. And so one day I said, I'm not sure about this. She goes, oh my God, me either. And then we decided that Indiana was going to be home. So even when I retire, we're not leaving the state of Indiana. So it may not have been a lie, but it wasn't my intent. So I did prepare remarks because I know me. That way. Sorry. So I've been to many retirements, and I often hear people say that I promised myself that I wouldn't cry, and I'll just tell you right now that's bullshit. I'm probably going to cry. just laying it right out there. That's how this is going to happen. So if it looks like I'm reading this, yeah, I'm doing this for your benefit. One, to keep the emotions in check by reading words that I've now read over and over and over again, because this collection of words, they've been arranged in this order specifically, and they're now familiar to me, so it should help limit the emotional response of sitting here digging through the memory banks as I'm ad-libbing. And number two, it prevents me from ad-libbing so long that it carries on for 2 hours, and your time is valuable, and I certainly want to be respectful of that. Before we get too far into this, it's important for me to recognize that I did not arrive on this stage here today alone. This was not my doing. This was the collective effort of every single person in my life. And so naturally, there are a ton of people that I need to thank. I've learned better after being at many of these ceremonies to simply call you out by name because you always forget someone who had an impact in your life. And I don't want to do that today. So it would be fitting to go seat by seat by seat, but none of us want me to do that either. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to just go through here, but the fact that you're listening to me right now, be it in person, via the internet, it tells me all that I need to know. Somewhere in our individual lives, our paths crossed and we connected. We stayed connected, and therefore you helped shape my life. You found value in our friendship and thus continued to honor our relationship with the gift of time. Rick Warren says it best when he says, the greatest gift you can offer someone is your time. So with all of my heart, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule and giving it to me and my family on this day. I believe the second greatest gift you can give me is money. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to thank first our God for the guidance and love He has enabled me to be here fulfilling my mission. More than once, I found evidence of His presence sprinkled into my life, and when I thought there was nowhere else to turn, I looked up, and there was always a path that presented itself. Regardless of your spiritual belief, there is a higher power guiding us all. Call it source energy, call it synchronicity, call it coincidence, call it intuition, it doesn't matter. But I encourage you to listen to that intuition and follow the lead and be open to whatever opportunities are presented before you. Trust me, there is always a path. 5 years ago, my 5-year plan included none of this. I've been tapped on the shoulder for a new mission of service because there's more work to be done. I've listened and I've found my place for my service, and that's why we're here. This ceremony brings us all together today, but it's only possible because of the rest of you. I figure, again, everyone else here fits into about 3 major categories, so I'll take a moment and give collective thanks to each and every one of you. But first and foremost, my immediate family. The journey for all of us begins at birth, or conception, depending on which side of the room you're sitting on. But I know that what you're thinking right now, that, oh boy, it's going to be one of those stories. Well, it's important for you to know that how I arrived here, because it gives you insight into my DNA. I didn't just decide to join the military 27 years ago. No. That decision was made for me by a senior chief and his bride in the heat of the moment when they decided that a second child might be a fair trade for 2 minutes of extracurricular activity right after a long Navy SEAL deployment. The 2 hearts of incredible, loving patriots combined to form a third, or technically in my case, the 4th. My dad deployed a lot. I was born on a Navy base in Charleston, South Carolina, and rightfully so. They tore it down shortly after I was born. But anyway, I was raised in the comfort of the military lifestyle with the core values of integrity, service, and excellence. Regardless of the verbiage actually adopted by each branch of the service, these words ring true for anyone who has ever worn the uniform in defense of this nation. My parents honored that commitment, and through all the deployments and the personal sacrifice of their 23-year career, they did well. So, Mom and Dad, thank you. Told you. This is why. This is what your sacrifice and your hard work and your love has produced. I owe much of this to the foundation that you provided, and I'm truly grateful that you're here to celebrate our mutual success. I love you.
I love you.
To my older brother, United States Air Force Chief Master Sergeant retired, Steve, dude, I followed your lead to navigate the lives that we were destined for. I'm glad you were the first to disappoint Dad by joining the world's greatest Air Force, because I didn't want to be the one to break his heart, but there was just no way that I could join the Navy. So thank you for leading boldly into the wild blue yonder and climbing high into the sun. You provided the framework, the roadmap, and some breadcrumbs along the way, and although I'm pretty sure I outranked you most of our careers, well, that was until you demonstrated superior intellect and you were aptly promoted to the highest enlisted rank, representing the top 1% of the United States military. I'm so proud of you. I've always been proud of you. I've looked up to you every step of the way, and so your mentorship helped me get here, so yes, you own a piece of this stage as well. Congrats to you and your loving family, your amazing career, your retirement, and thank you for riding with Mom and Dad in the car for 15 hours just to get here. And you know, it makes total sense that you decided to fly home alone. I get it. I'm sorry.
All of that is true.
Yeah. My younger brother Chris, who was unable to be here today, but he is serving his community at home as a sergeant for the Kittery, Maine Police Department. Chris, I'm proud of you too. Though had you scored just a little bit higher on the ASVAB, which is the entrance exam for the military, you probably could have qualified for the Army. but nonetheless, I understand that your calling to service was to protect those who cannot protect themselves and create a safe environment for the members of your community. You and your family should also be proud for all that you've accomplished together and building on the foundation that our parent provided and continuing to put your life on the line by serving in your own way. When I first met you, you were immediately my younger brother, but it didn't take long for you to become my friend. To my in-laws, United States Air Force retired Technical Sergeant Tom Robers and his wife Doris. On the few occasions that I actually thought about my retirement ceremony, I had always envisioned that you and Tom would both be here. I thought we would all celebrate together, and I never saw it any other way. So it's difficult now to put into words how I'm feeling because it wasn't supposed to be this way. These are unfamiliar feelings, and they're all so new, and they're just still very painful, but I know we agree, however, that he's watching this whole thing. And he's likely standing at attention with a sharp salute. So Tom, at ease. Doris, your strength is admirable. Your service to our nation as a military spouse, as a caregiver during his battle with cancer, they're all qualities that you passed on to your daughter. She's the best of both of you. You two have done incredible work as parents, and I'm incredibly fortunate to have all of you in my life. You trusted me with a piece of your daughter's heart. In addition, you've given me a piece of yours as well. I promised both of you that I would love her, and that I would honor her, and I would cherish her until death do us part, and I'm following your lead. I renew that commitment every day. To the rest of the family, be it by blood, be it by marriage, being able to count on you as family means a great deal to me, so thank you so much for being here. The next people on my list, certainly they're my heart and my soul, and there isn't a possible way that I could limit myself by putting words on paper. So at this point, I'm just going to speak from the heart, and it comes down to Janine, my high school sweetheart. We've been together longer than you and I, Jeff. Sorry. The sacrifice that you've made to allow me to serve in this nation is incredible. I often joke, we've moved from Maine to New Hampshire to Texas to here. I didn't know what I was doing. I was getting lucky every time I applied for a new job. This was not I pieced this career together. You had a plan on what you wanted to do, and every step of the way I interrupted that. So the fact that you went to college, got a degree, and I forced you every 4 years to move, I apologize, but I appreciate your loving commitment. There isn't a single person on this planet I would rather spend the rest of my life with. I love you from the bottom of my heart, and what a lot of people don't know is there are some things that this gal does that I can't get divorced, even if I didn't love her. It's just not, I just need that. She's just an incredible support system for me, so I don't have all the right words, and I think you and I will discuss that later tonight, but I'm trying to I love you more than you'll ever know. My beautiful daughter, Megan, same. What? Yeah. Moving on. No, so Megan she's a senior now in Carmel High School, and our intent, I'll kind of share some details that'll be a surprise to some of you. Our intent today was Megan was going to join the Air National Guard today on stage. That was the plan. We put all that in process, and she went and took the physical, she took everything, and she blew out her knee about 2 days before the physical. So we're now getting that to heal up, but she decided that this is her calling as well, and she wants to continue serving, and I'm so proud of you for making that decision. Your recruiters are right behind you, by the way. But you're an incredible daughter. I'm just incredibly blessed as I watch you navigate life masterfully and beautifully, and your amazing heart is a piece that we will always remember, and you're awesome, so thank you. Next, to those of you I call my military family. They're my brothers and sisters in arms. If you are currently wearing or have ever worn the camouflage threads that protect you as you defend this nation, you are my hero. Whether it be a single day or 35 years, the mental commitment is the same. What you signed up to do is noble, and there isn't a citizen, whether born here or naturalized, who doesn't appreciate the promise and sacrifice you've made to keep this country great. You too have voluntarily raised your hand in defense of this nation against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. You've guaranteed that oath by offering your life as collateral so that you could preserve the freedom that this nation was founded upon. The flag behind me and the ones presented today on stage, they're a proud symbol of our nation, and they fly freely because of your actions. Don't for a single second forget that there are evil people out there willing to trade their lives to ruin ours. We're trained. We are ready, and damn it, on our watch, that's simply not going to happen. Few of us understand that what it truly means, and I'm telling you now that I get it, and thank you for your service. It was an honor to serve with you. As I take off this uniform for the last time, I put my faith and my trust in your ability to tuck this nation in safely every single night. To the rest of you, I consider you my wingman family. This is where my life has taken the greatest turns, yet yielded the greatest impact. You bring to my life diversity. Up until that point where you entered my life, I'd only ever known what my family held on to as truths and what my military family was permitted to share as unclassified discussions during the workday. Your collective wisdom has bestowed upon me, and I want you to know that I've taken something from all of you. If you spent your whole life with only those who raised you and those who look like you, talk like you, think like you, there's a good chance you're going to miss the amazing souls who fill this room. It's our combined experience that contributes to our great country well beyond the calling to take up arms and wear a military uniform. You make this country great and most certainly worth defending. You challenge me to think differently, to see differently, act differently, all while loving equally and unconditionally. You've gotten me through some pretty incredible times, and I can truly say the strength in numbers through diversity of thought, belief, race, gender, and ethnicity have given me the tools to tackle any scenario masterfully. I'm very well equipped for the future, any future, and we call our land the melting pot because it's true that your heart has melted mine, and I consider us one. I truly wish to thank each and every one of you in person over the next few hours as we celebrate this ceremony, but I just wanted to know that now. Some of you came from down the hall, some are watching online, others came from all over the country. I really do appreciate every single bit of it. So what's next for me? Well, this chapter now actually began in 2007, and so I was flying around the country working for the National Guard Bureau back in the day, and on December 4th, I flew 8 flights in one single day. I left San Antonio at 9 a.m. I went from San Antonio to Dallas, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Dallas, Tulsa, Tulsa, Dallas, Dallas, Austin, Austin, Dallas, Dallas, back to San Antonio one day. I did that selflessly, trying to reach executive platinum status on American Airlines. It worked. I left early in the morning. It was the flight that changed my life forever. Was from Tulsa back to Dallas. My eyes were exposed to the other side of war. I learned about taking care of others through the Folds of Honor mission, and I quickly volunteered my free time to honor the sacrifice and educate the legacy of our nation's most deserving heroes. Lifting others up rewards me internally more so than I have ever experienced. Fast forward to 2009, military I applied for and was selected and lied to get this job here as recruiting superintendent in Indiana. And with that responsibility, though, I learned that one of the areas I was going to be responsible for was recruiting what we call TAC-P airmen. They're our Tactical Air Control Party. We enlisted one this morning, Sergeant Lewis did. And these are some of the most elite battlefield airmen we have in the entire Air Force. I quickly learned of Staff Sergeant Jacob Frazier. Jake was a guardsman from Illinois who was the first TAC-P our nation has ever lost in combat. Jake gave his life on 29 March 2003 during Operations Enduring Freedom. There are literally thousands more like Jake who have given their life for our freedom, thus never having the chance to stand on this stage like I am today. Newly exposed to the voids that I left behind, I wanted to personally honor the sacrifice Jake made on our behalf. For the past 9 years, every single day, I've worn this bracelet honoring Jake, and it has his name and the date he was killed on it. And often I leaned on Jake as a constant reminder, and I looked into the eyes of the parents of my new recruits, and I needed to confidently reassure them that although this job is very dangerous, no matter what, with this brotherhood for which they were about to enter, we would never leave them behind on the field of battle. There have been many times where I again confided in Jake and I asked him for guidance, and I even took him for a run on the days that I didn't want to, but I knew he would enjoy the fresh air. Together, we've arrived here at our retirement. Rest in peace, Jake. And This is just as much your day as it is mine, and so I'm taking this bracelet off now so that you can enjoy the benefits of a job well done. I love people, and taking care of our military families is my passion. It's a mission I continue today, and I'm proud to report that this year alone, the Folds of Honor will award $25 million in scholarships to families across the nation. As the Indiana chapter president, last year we awarded 44 Indiana families scholarships totaling $218,000. Our goal this year is to raise $500,000 for disbursement in 2020. In addition to the Folds of Honor, I learned of another way to give back. The Department of Defense admits that 7.8% of our active duty force is overweight. However, the Guard and Reserve component is dangerously higher. And according to the Obesity Journal, it's estimated that the military service is rapidly approaching the civilian estimates, indicating roughly 1/3 of our nation battles obesity. It's the #1 retention issue facing our military, and on the other end of the equation, 31% of the youth today are disqualified for military service. Oh, it's a story I know all too well. For 20 of my 27 years, I was significantly overweight. I became broken. Mentally, at times, I checked out. My honorable service to this country was on the line, and failed fitness test after failed fitness test meant rightfully so that my discharge was imminent. My departure would not have been the joyous occasion that it is today. I was scared. I needed help. I took a day and I sent an email to about a dozen of my closest friends, and I poured my heart out. I begged for help, and I said, I need a solution. I need to get my weight under control because my career, my livelihood, and my life depend upon it. It's a longer story, but I essentially got only one real response that had the most impact, and that came from my wingman. He simply asked, Mike, what's the issue? And he basically hung up the phone, and so my brain was like, okay, well, you're not providing any help. And so the next day, though, I woke up to an email and said, good morning, Mike. 68 days to your fitness test. Go make it a great day. The next day, good morning, Mike, day 67, go after it. Good morning, Mike, day 66, go after it. Good morning, Mike, day 65, 64, 63, 62. Every single day for 68 days prior to my fitness test, I got an email from my wingman, and all that did was remind me to prioritize my needs first before I attempted anything else for the day. It's a lesson that has stuck with me till today. Many of you have probably heard this story before, but what you may not realize is that my truest wingman is sitting right here on the stage. He carried me. Major Kip, thank you for walking with me. Thank you for carrying me through a dark period of my life. Thank you for never leaving me behind, and thank you for teaching me that when you summons the courage to ask for help, there will be somebody who answers the call. Many weekends I've traveled the nation speaking out about the national security crisis brewing within our ranks. It became quickly apparent that this is the greater need for my time, energy, and talent in order to defend those who defend us. I learned that I needed to hand the flag off to my brothers and sisters and take on a new challenge. I founded and was granted tax exemption from the IRS for my own nonprofit charity aimed to care for actively service members whose careers mirrored mine. I want to be the one that answers the call, just like my wingman did for me. While my next chapter in life starts to take shape, there's a lot of details I'm just not permitted to share at the moment, but what I can tell you is that I'm armed with a passion. I have a team of wingmen, and I'm not going to rest until that mission is complete as well. I'm working on a special project as an unpaid intern for Weight Watchers WW in New York City, and they're determined to bring a wellness solution to everybody. And without giving anything away, there isn't a single person on this planet who is more poised and ready to make a difference right now in our history than me. While there are over 2 million military members actively serving, my collective life experience to date makes me uniquely qualified to take the giant leap into the future. Staring directly into the face of fear, I'm going for it. My position here has been advertised, and there are many talented people to take my place. I recognize that if I don't step forward now, that there isn't anybody ready to carry forth this new mission. So here we are at the beginning, and it's time to close out my military service, so that I can leverage the experience and continue to fight for our freedom. I wish you all well, and thank you so much for believing in me. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the benediction and chaplain.
Senior Master Sergeant, if I may, it doesn't take very long for you to sit in this room to realize that you're a man of character, and it's a privilege to serve along with a gentleman like yourself. So even despite my Army ASVAB score.
I just switched over.
But it's an honor to be here with you. Would you bow your heads with me? Dear Father, we come to you once more thankful today for the many years of service and sacrifice of Senior Master Sergeant Daggett and his family members who have made tremendous sacrifices of their own in support of the Air Force and the nation, and in furthering the cause of freedom worldwide. Only you know the true impact each of them have had over the years. We thank you for equipping Senior Master Sergeant Daggett with a heart for service, and we thank you ahead of time for the service that we know he will continue to provide for our nation in the next chapter of his life. We know that you have a good plan for him. We pray that you would make clear those good plans. We give you thanks for being there every step of the way in this Air Force journey. Your word promises that you preserve our going out and our coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Thank you for your constant presence and your care for each of us, no matter where we go and what we do. We pray now your blessing on this ceremony and all who are attending. And we pray that you keep us all strong and vigilant as we guard freedom around the world. Amen.
All right, thank you, Chaplain. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing. We'll play the Air Force song and the departure of the official party. All right, and they're gone. This concludes the floral portion of our ceremony. Please congratulate Senior Master Sergeant Daggett outside the auditorium. And please join us for refreshments in the honor auditorium. There'll be signs leading you down into that. Thank you very much for attending.
Yeah.